Alright, first and foremost, today's video is sponsored by Epidemic Sound. If you use the code Daniel2019 to sign up before January 2nd, 2020, you will get your first 3 months of Epidemic Sound for free. So as you could probably tell by the title of today's video, this is going to be an editing breakdown of the gingerbread video, which I just put out about 2 days ago. Please keep in mind that this isn't going to be an in-depth editing tutorial on how I did every little effect or transition or keyframe. This is an overall view or breakdown of how I assembled and put together this sequence. And with all of that out of the way, let's have a quick refresher and take a look at the sequence from start to finish, and then we will dive right into how I edited the gingerbread video. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that or found it mildly interesting. I do quickly want to go over what exactly is happening on our screen here because there are quite a few colors and things going on. So all these clips here are pretty self-explanatory. Those are our main video clips on the main video track. We do have a couple of other clips kind of floating around here and we will get to those. Right down below that we do have our song, and what I did in my index is I actually organize all of my audio files in a specific way so that our music is directly underneath our video clips. This just makes it easier to cut our clips to the beat, because if the song was all the way down here at the bottom of our timeline, it would be very tedious to go back and forth between the video and the audio, making sure we're cutting to the beat. But underneath our music, we do have the rest of our audio tracks. This green audio track here is our ambient sounds. We have the red, which indicates our Foley sound effects, and then all of this orange stuff are the more atmospheric and whoosh, drop, hit sound effects to emphasize things like camera movement or transitions. And finally, up at the top here, we have these adjustment layers as indicated by the purple color, and these 4 are just some transitions, and then this one is our letterbox as indicated by the inspector. So whenever I edit any sort of sequence like this, it always starts with the music. If I were to start an edit by creating a bunch of transitions and speed ramps and I didn't have a music track already in the timeline, I'd be wasting my time, because once I do bring in a music track, I would have to change everything to match the beat of the music anyway. So in my opinion, for a video like this, it's always best to start with a music track and edit your clips to that so you don't have to change everything later. When it came to selecting a track for this specific sequence, I started on the Epidemic homepage and went up to the Browse tab. From here, underneath the featured genres, I saw that there was a Christmas section, and this is a holiday themed video. And really from here, I just started scrolling down and playing various tracks until I found something that I felt could fit or had a vibe that was similar to what I wanted. I did stumble across this song called North Pole Dancing by Joby, and when I listened to it, it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I knew that there was a sound there and a type of beat that really fit with the sort of theme that I wanted for the video. Now, even though the song itself isn't going to work exactly for this particular video, I think the artist Joby is onto something, so I click on his name to see what other tracks he might have that maybe will work. And after scrolling through and checking out some of the other tracks that Joby has, I found all of the Jingle Ladies, and this worked perfectly for the gingerbread sequence. Now, you might have noticed that the full track length is 2 minutes and 33 seconds. This is 2 minutes longer than the length of our sequence, which is just over 30 seconds. I'm sort of particular about the way I end my videos. I don't like to just conclude a song by cutting it off at the 30-second mark. I actually like to go into the track and Frankenstein it together in a way where I actually took the end of the music, the end of the track, and brought it back to an earlier part of the track and then blended it all together in a way that sounded seamless. This way, when the video ends, it actually sounds like the end of the video, not just the middle of the song kind of fading out. Nonetheless, I absolutely love this track by Joby. I think it fit the sequence perfectly. It had the right vibe, as well as that punchy hip-hop beat that is so fun to cut to. And right now, Epidemic Sound is having a holiday special. If you sign up before January 2nd, 2020 and use the code Daniel2019, you will get your first 3 months for free. One of the very useful techniques to drawing emphasis to a certain part of a shot is speed ramping. And once I'm done selecting all of my clips and I click Command R on my keyboard, this will bring up all of my retiming information. The color blue indicates that a clip is being sped up, the color orange indicates that a clip is being slowed down, the color green indicates that a clip is being left at its regular speed, and these gray portions indicate where a speed ramp is taking place. First things first, I'm going to highlight all of my audio tracks and disable them, that way we can focus on the visuals. So our video kicks off with a fade in from black using a cross dissolve transition, and to transition into our next clip we have a speed ramp as well as some masking. When I play this back frame by frame, you can actually see that as the camera goes downward, the countertop turns into the graham cracker. Now if I turn off the mask on the graham cracker clip, you can actually see the hard line where the two clips meet. When I turn the mask back on, you can see how much more seamless it is. As I move into the part of the shot here where the cracker splits in half, you can see there's a moment where the crackers are actually protruding over the letterbox as well as the crumbs. All of this was achieved in this compound clip here by drawing a few masks, and if I toggle that off and back on, you can see that it gives the shot a neat sort of 3D looking effect. Now as we head towards the end of our graham cracker shot, you can see that the clip starts to speed up as the camera pulls away, and this will seamlessly lead us into our next shot, which also starts off fast with the camera pulling away before slowing back down to its original speed and speeding back up again. Now if we turn our attention to the inspector window, you can see that under our transform tool, we have our scale, which indicates that our clip is zoomed in 125%. Over the next 2 frames, the clip will zoom back out to 100% before zooming all the way back into 165% over the remainder of the shot. Here's what the clip looks like before we add those zoom in and out effects, and here's what the clip looks like once we've added in those keyframes. Now the next clip is pretty straightforward. I haven't really done much to it apart from adding this crumb overlay, which makes it a bit more dramatic. And the same goes for our next shot, which I also kept nice and simple. Now over these next 4 clips, you can clearly see that the changes in speed are quite a bit more dramatic, but the thing I want to draw your attention to are these transition layers. I actually downloaded these transition layers from Ryan Nangle a couple years back, and I still really enjoy using them. Notice how towards the end of this shot it starts to zoom in much quicker, and then our next shot also starts with a quick zoom in as well. Here's the transition without the layers, and here it is with the layers turned back on. It's also worth noting that in order to make these transitions work, I had to flip the orientation of a couple shots. This shot here of the gingerbread house is actually flipped, and the same goes for this shot here of the sprinkling sugar. So these next 2 shots are all about matching the rotation from one clip to another. Now as you can see in the raw footage, the first shot was not actually rotating when I shot it, but the second shot was. All I did on the first clip was keyframe in a clockwise rotation, and then for the icing shot I just added some stabilization. Now there isn't really much going on editing wise in these last few shots, just keyframed in some basic zoom ins and zoom outs as well as some speed ramps, and our final hero shot has a fake snow overlay added in post. And of course the final step to make the visual aspect of our video pop was to add a color grade. To grade this video I used the basic LUT from my Vintage Look 2 LUT pack, which you can check out in the description below. And now it is officially time to start talking about one of my favorite parts of editing, sound design. Now for me personally, seeing as I already get pretty much all of my music from Epidemic Sound, it just kind of makes sense that I get most of my sound effects from the same place. If you didn't already know, all Epidemic Sound plans give you access to their library of 30,000 royalty-free music tracks as well as 60,000 sound effects. And don't forget, if you sign up before January 2nd, 2020 and use the code Daniel2019, you'll get your first 3 months of Epidemic Sound for free. Okay, so when it comes to adding sound effects to your video, it's important to keep in mind that certain sounds can be used for completely different visuals. As long as it lines up with the footage, it doesn't actually matter what the original sound is from. For example, if we take the sound of aftershave being placed on a counter, and then we take the sound of a textbook sliding on a table, we can put them together to get a tray of gingerbread cookies being placed onto a wooden countertop. Similarly, if we take these 5 different sounds, and then we layer them all together, we get a graham cracker snapping in half. For the icing shots, I used the sound of a scraping ice cream cone. For the gumdrop shots, I used a squish sound effect, and I even found a train whistle sound effect for our gingerbread train. And lastly, I placed a bunch of whoosh sounds and bass hits throughout the edit, and this is the final result.